Alrighty guys, welcome to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 reunion panel. Alright, let's get the cast and crew out here. We got R.A. Mihailoff, Kate Hodge, Toni Hudson, and Jeff Burr. Put your hands together guys, make some noise. Alright guys, I'm going to ask a question or two, get it started, and then as soon as I see hands go up out there, I'll start calling them out. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We're totally stoked about Texas Chainsaw 3. I'm a huge fan. Started off...
How huge a fan?
I am a pretty diehard fan. I grew up, the 80s and 90s were all about Texas Chainsaw for me, so sort of like some of the first horror movies I ever saw as a kid.
Well, I'll say this, there are more people in the audience here than there were for the opening night when it opened, so.
That's not true.
That's
not true. We're moving up, we're moving up.
Exactly.
It's growing, aging like wine. Film that aged like wine. How did you guys all come to be involved in the project, and what was it like being part of the New Line expansion of the late 80s and early 90s?
Well, am I using this microphone or do I need to? Yeah, no, for me I'm just an actor having an audition. And I totally didn't think I was get it. So I just went in and did my thing and I got hired.
That's
what happened.
Simple as that.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
But I got the job in a traditional way. Basically, just I had an agent, and the agent said, "Hey, New Line is looking for a director for Leatherface, and you want to take a meeting?" And so months and months went by, and then I got a phone call that, "Hey, we want to see you again." And so I got the job very quickly. I had only a few weeks of pre-production, so we had to hit the road running. But Bob Shea was a I won't say a despot, but he was not the easiest guy to work with for me personally. But I really respected New Line, and they were the quintessential independent film studio at that time. And Mike DeLuca, it was really Mike DeLuca's project, and so he was much more involved really than Bob.
Guys, you remember how you first came involved with the project?
All right, I was the same as Toni. I auditioned and I got lucky.
Wow. We got lucky. It was your first, more or less your first movie, right?
Yes.
Wow,
yes, it was my
I did
first
not
film.
know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, when they did the whole take one, I laughed and said, "Oh my gosh, you really do that?" And I think it was Bob Shea. No, he wasn't there. One of the producers went
Bob
like this.
Eagleman, probably.
Yes.
Yes.
He went completely pale, like, oh God, what reaches higher? Because I was really clueless.
That's awesome. All right, do you remember how you got involved with the project?
No, I was too hungover to remember. No. I actually knew the director.
Oh, that always helps, right? That's always a good thing.
So yeah, R.A. was in my student film, and you guys may know that I originally offered the role to Gunnar Hansen, who was obviously in the original movie,
And rightfully so.
and it just didn't work out. So I figured, R.A. would be the perfect guy. So because he fit the he fit the suit, and he fit the chainsaw, and he was, and he was an easy guy to work with.
Awesome. Cool. One thing that always fascinated me about the making of the movie is, in a very rare move for the time, the film actually had a trailer out before the director was even hired, and before production had started. So I was always wondering if you guys felt that kind of added sense of pressure from the moment you came onto the project, or if that was just kind of coincidental.
Well, it was cool. I remember though. I do remember when I got the job. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, really almost that quickly, that I went to the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles with big, very famous Grauman's Egyptian. Excuse me, the Chinese Theater rather, the Mann's Chinese Theater, and they were playing Leatherface trailer with Nightmare on Elm Street 5. And so it was amazing to see.
Film you're gonna direct.
It's like here, there it is, and and the audience response was pretty good to the trailer. So oh man, so I don't know if it put added pressure, but it definitely that made it all the more real, and you knew it was going to come out in a big way.
The trailer was just changed. I don't remember that at all.
It's famous. The trailer is arguably more famous than the movie. Really? No, seriously, it is.
Let me tell her.
Is it just like a chainsaw? It's like there's no.
No, Kate Feinwein Hodge, it's not. They hired the company that did the trailer for the movie Excalibur.
Oh.
And they did a shot-for-shot
Yeah, Lady of the Lake.
Oh, I remember that trailer. Yeah.
And that's why the big chainsaw is called Excalibur.
Yes, that's right.
And nobody knows who the guy is in the Leatherface suit. We had this discussion last night. It's not me. It's not Kane Hodder.
It's a mystery.
Nobody knows.
And that ended up being also the whatever the TV spots for the movie. It was they used that too. It was such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also the chainsaw in the trailer is not the chainsaw, the Excalibur chainsaw from the movie.
It was much cuter in the trailer.
It was
It
what?
was shinier and cuter.
And waterproof.
Yes.
So this film was actually also famously, I'm sure if you guys remember, resubmitted to the MPAA for a rating like an obscene number of times. So much that you guys actually missed the initial release date, right? Because you couldn't get it from an X.
No, absolutely. We had all these issues. We had issues with New Line initially with their foreign distribution because they thought it would be banned in every country. And then, so Bob Shaye came in the editing room and it said, that goes, throughout the whole movie. So then we submitted to the MPAA thinking very naively, okay, this is going to pass with an R very easily. And we went, I think, it was a record at the time, and it was like 11 or 12, something like that, times. And consequently, the release date was missed, which is almost unheard of, you know.
Yeah, that it really is. Was New Line like very supportive, given that they kind of supervised the cut, the first submission?
No. I mean, there was a lot of division within the company because some people thought it was an incredibly offensive movie and they didn't want to make it. Other people, Mike DeLuca, thought, hey, it's a perfect movie for New Line. So they were part of the company was trying to move away from the house that Freddie built image. So there was a lot of division within the company, but it was never a troubled production in the sense of wildly over budget or anything like that. It was essentially like a red-headed stepchild with that company.
Controversial.
Well, no, not controversial really. It was just the kind of movie they really didn't want to make. Some of the people.
Two highly placed women in New Line cinema.
Yeah. I mean, nothing to do with women, but it was just one of the incredible detractors was the senior executive who happened to be a woman.
And ironically, both of those women ended up subsequently directing horror movies.
One of them.
One.
Oh, wow. I'm kind of dying to know what movie that is now. I'll ask later, though. Anybody, you guys, questions yet?
And by the way.
Oh, got one over here. Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to say something first.
Absolutely.
By the way, according to Wikipedia, Texas Chainsaw 3 is the last movie to get a formal X rating before they changed the rating system.
That's right. It's a
It
serious
was
badge
the
of
last
honor.
X rating before NC-17 came.
So, in case anybody's interested, I am an X-rated movie star.
I was just going to say, so I was in an X-rated movie. I had no idea.
Yes, we've done scenes together in an X-rated
Ooh,
movie.
and you used tools, my friend.
I did. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you guys, who put the soundtrack together? I thought it was a fabulous soundtrack.
Oh, that was me. In my spare time.
Yeah, no, it was a guy. It was actually what it was they had a deal with Enigma Records, and this guy Kevin Benson, who was a music supervisor at New Line, and so basically it was like, okay, there was one song I desperately wanted in the movie and really fought, and there was very little money at that point. Wall of Voodoo's version of Ring of Fire. And we had made that was in our temp mix for this last chase scene, and wonderful. But it was a thing that would obviously have to be licensed, and so there was no money for that. So basically, Kevin Benson gave me a stack of CDs, of these pick out, X amount of songs. So
I loved your selection. They were great.
Oh, well, very cool, very cool.
One of the best.
But the one thing I did,
The
one thing I had nothing to do with was Law's Rocket, the theme song. And I just remember though I got a phone call from Kevin Benson saying, "Hey, come over to the recording studio in the Valley and hear your end title song." And so I was like, "Okay, great." And I was like expecting this, amazing thing, and these guys, 4 or 5 guys, were just messing around and watching Tracy Lords on Married with Children, and they finally stopped and said, "Okay, I will play the song now," and so they played the recording, and it was like, me personally, I mean, maybe not you, but me personally, I was kind of underwhelmed, but I had to. I mean, there was no going back. I mean, that was it. So I had to, okay, thanks guys, and So, but the music video was kind of fun. Yeah. But anyway, that's what it was. It was Kevin Benson having a deal with Enigma Records at the time, and that's.
Because that was like one of my favorite like horror soundtracks. It's just it was such a
right,
fun soundtrack. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Back there.
Were there any very challenging scenes to make, and which were they?
I mean, that would be a Kate and RA question for sure. Oh, challenging scenes to film.
And what were they, if you had one?
What?
And what were they? If you had a challenging scene.
Yeah, it's the only one.
Scene to film.
Hello, is this thing on? No, it was nothing was really terribly challenging. It was a lot of fun. Are you kidding? Come on. But there was one time when I impaled Toni Hudson on the tree, and it just happens that my chainsaw is hanging up in that tree. I don't know why it was hanging in the tree, but it was there, and I grab it and I cut into her. So I had to hold the chainsaw straight out like that, and Mr. Jeffrey C. Burr likes to take long takes. And
I was enraptured,
Yeah, he was enraptured because of the brilliant performance. Anyway, so I was holding the chainsaw, running, and even though I am yoked up beyond human dimensions, after a while it got a little, heavy. And Greg Nicotero was kneeling off frame with a 5-gallon pressurized canister of blood spraying it in my face. So there I am holding this chainsaw out and, running at full blast, and Nicotero's spraying me blood in my face. And I was kind of just waiting for Jeff Burr to go cut. And that was the only time. That was the one single moment that was a little uncomfortable, but the rest was a stone cold blast.
And I'll just add on the end of that, because right before we shot that scene, I told Jeff, the director, that I was in my first trimester of pregnancy. So if anything went wrong, he should know this. So
and that's not what you want to. I mean, it was just that cast a pall over the scene in my mind.
I didn't find out about it till afterwards.
Yeah. So I just thought, I should probably say something just in case.
Live change.
And then I had the Caro syrup with red dye all up my nose while I was being chopped in half by RA.
And what about you?
I think the hardest one was getting dragged into the body pit with the bear trap, whatever that thing. There's a rock that fell, and then I got dragged in. And get to come out of the water and all the skulls bobbing around me. I mean, it was a warm pond, thank God. I don't know how it was warm, but it was warm.
With a heater.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was a man-made body pit.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but it was all, it was a cold night, and that was challenging, but fun. I was young. It was fun.
Did they get you a wetsuit?
No, I don't think so.
They got Ken and I wetsuits.
Well, you had to be in there.
Well, yeah, because we were in there for a long time.
Yeah. I probably was like, I don't want one. I don't want to look fat.
Guys, any questions out there?
No entrance after the show has started.
No one proceeded at the last time.
Yeah, sorry.
There seemed like there was a lot of physically grueling, things that happened in the movie, some of the chase sequences towards the end. Was that really hard, to get into that mind frame to do that?
Well, it was funny when Vigo, grabs me and throws me back into the kitchen, onto the butcher block. I actually cracked a rib. And then when I was running out of the house and fell down, remember that wasn't planned.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I was like, let's keep it. It's so cool. So I'm like, I was really into it. So it was easy to get the adrenaline going because I didn't even realize my rib was cracked until a week later. I was like, it hurts when I breathe. But it was intense and fun.
And the other thing was like shooting night for night, you know, so your schedules are flipped. Like the third or fourth week of that, usually everybody goes a little nuts, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a contributing factor too. You know?
Yeah, you're like vampires.
One thing I wanted to ask Kate, the scene where you rip through the nails in your hand is, to me, just one of like the most badass moments in the history of horror. And I'm surprised that wasn't the most, you know, grueling scene or whatever to film. But I was curious what you remember about shooting that scene.
I remember thinking that was a really cool thing to write. That she does do that. I'm like, that really was kind of badass at that time.
Extremely badass.
And you know, the nails weren't really through my hand.
Obviously. Like, really? Oh my God.
I mean, if they had been, that would have been so cool.
So her acting made it seem like it was really difficult.
Yes.
Speaking of difficult acting, you actually had to do a lot of exposition. Sarah had to take care of a lot of the exposition in the movie, which is always like, you know, the hard work or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was, you know, kind of obviously a little bit for people that might not have seen the earlier films, but for those who had, you know, we kind of thought of that as like your story was sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.5. So I was wondering how much of that story did you guys discuss prior to filming, or was it all just right from the page? Was there, wow.
Yeah, I just read straight from the page. There was no discussion. No. Wow. I was just a distraction to try and keep them alive for a little longer.
But it doesn't really come across in the movie so much, but in the cut. But in the beginning, where the Leatherface is making the mask, there's a tattoo on the mask, and there's a matching tattoo on her where there was supposed to be.
No, it was my sister.
And that's the whole thing.
So
it was like
my
it was
sister had a teardrop tattoo on her face. So when I'm watching R.A. Leatherface make the mask,
it was a rose.
It was a rose?
Yeah.
Something like, yeah, it was like,
it was a rose.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Flower.
Okay, my bad. She wasn't in the gang. She was crying already. Oh. No, okay, so the rose on it. But I saw him putting the piece of skin, my sister's skin, on his mask, which is why I know he did that.
Wow.
And then I escaped the nails, too, you know. I was in the woods with the nail holes in my hands,
exactly.
so I did, too.
Right.
You just didn't get to see it.
That's true, yeah.
It's so exhausting.
Well, actually, one I wanted to ask R.A. I always thought that your version of Leatherface seemed to be kind of like a little bit more aggressive than we'd ever seen before, and I, you know, was curious if the fact that Leatherface had a kind of a new family in this one, if that kind of encouraged you to, you know, bring like a new dynamic to the character.
Well, it's like was mentioned earlier. If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. I mean, you know, I just followed what David J. Scow wrote in the screenplay.
The whole concept was that if in the first movie he was kind of babyish, and then there's the second movie which we kind of ignored, and in the third movie then he's kind of a quote unquote rebellious teenager. That was kind of the initial idea.
Cool, very cool. Well, we have a couple minutes left. Do you guys want to talk about anything you guys have coming up? Any projects? Anything where chance fans get to check you out?
Yeah, I'm producing 4 movies. Charlie's Christmas Wish is a family G-rated movie, and that's coming out soon. I know, just totally up your lane.
Right there for Leatherface fans.
Rush to see it now. But there is a movie called Twitcher, which is a horror film. It's a psychological thriller that shooting, hopefully Stephen Bauer. We're in talks with him. And I'm trying to, if you guys can all really applaud really loud, I'm trying to get this guy, Jeff Burr, to direct it. What do you think? Twitcher? Yeah? Yeah? No, but I shared with him tonight.
That's an oral contract, by the way.
Yeah. We're in pre-production on that right now. And then I have a movie called The Last Dance with Jason Patrick and Luke Wilson and Mira Sorvino. And we have Gary Marshall's son, Scott Marshall, directing. And that's getting ready to go in Canton, Georgia in April. So I'm producing now, and I'm reviving my career. So keep your eyes open.
You're here.
Guys, anything coming up?
I'm just going to be calling Toni Hudson a lot, I guess.
That's probably a good
Ditto.
All right, guys. Well,
All Right's got a new movie coming out called Death House, I believe. That premieres very shortly.
There's a sneak preview in Stroudsburg tomorrow night.
With is it Jan Birch in Death House?
Huh?
Is that with Jan Birch?
With who?
Death House? Is Jan Birch in that? Because I think he was talking about that not too long ago here.
I don't
the
know
movie
who
Death
that
House.
is,
Okay, well I guess he's not in that movie then.
No.
He thinks he's gonna
He may be in it. Everybody in horror's in the
Okay.
damn movie.
All right. Well, there you go. All right.
Free
Good
bird, play free bird.
Yes. All right.
Go to
guys.
hell. Get out of here, John Dugan.
Getting razzed by the Chainsaw One
Yes,
cast.
exactly.
All right, guys. Well, we're just about out of time, so put your hands together for these guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.